Morning. How are you today? It's Monday. I hope you're ready to rock and roll. This live, I couldn't wait to do for you this morning because I'm going to be talking about one single solitary business strategy that's the deal maker between struggling and staying stuck and not going as fast as you want to and getting to that 7 and 8 figure mark. It is a what I call when God parted the Red Sea, it's the one business strategy that is the divider. It is the game changer. And I'm gonna deep dive into it a little bit today, and then I'm also going to be announcing the winners of the Breakthrough of the Year contest. So we held this amazing contest amongst our clients that are part of our 67-day year coaching program, where we help them train their brain to be able to unleash their business, be able to remove limiting beliefs, be able to build a brain-based path of priming to get to where they want to go and to really accomplish a year's worth of goals in 67 days. So as you're jumping on live, let me know that you're here because we're diving deep into that today. We're going to announce the big winner. So let me tell you what they've done. And then I'm going to dive into this one business strategy that really separates the solo hustling struggling entrepreneur from those that are in six, multiple six, seven, and even 8 figures. And it's one strategy. And I'm going to detail out the strategy for you so you can get a sense of what it is. At, excuse me. And then we're going to be going deeper in the live event that's coming up. I do not know why it's scrolling like a ticker tape. Sorry about that. I'll try to fix that. But we're going to be deep diving into how to think like a 7-figure entrepreneur and become unleashed in your business in a live event starting next Monday. So you're going to want to get registered at unleashedentrepreneur.com. And I'm going to try to see if I can get rid of that ticker tape thing. Anywho, so first of all, I'm excited to be able to announce the winners. So if you're in the room and you are part of our tribe, you're our clients, and we have been sending out these videos. So they submitted videos about how their lives have breaked through, like what has shifted for them while they've been in our coaching program, how have they been able to collapse time, make more money, get their business off the ground, grow, move faster because they've tapped into the power of thinking like a 7-figure entrepreneur, removing limitations that are brain based, building up the pathway so your brain can believe it. And a very science backed process to not try to accomplish January's goals, but try to get January's goals done in 67 days so you can accelerate time. So we're going to be diving into that deeply in the Unleashed Entrepreneur live training event. And so you can register for that at unleashedentrepreneur.com. So before I announce our winners of the Breakthrough of the Year contest, these folks are amazing. Their stories are incredible. And they submitted videos, and then we put them in a software where they sent them out to everybody and they voted, because as a business owner, I would choose everyone, right? So I couldn't do it myself. So we had everybody voting, and we closed voting yesterday, and we have the top 3 winners. And it's very exciting because the top winner is going to be win an in-person mastermind in San Diego with me and other top-end entrepreneurs. Very, very exciting. And then our second and third place, they're going to get a spotlight feature on our podcast, as well as our first place winner, and a email to our list for all 3 that is focused just on them. So it's not a collaborative email with a bunch of people. It's going to be a conversation just about them and their business. So I'm very excited to announce that. But I'm going to start off today's live with talking about this divider strategy. I want to talk about the one key strategy that when I research and talk to and work with those that are struggling, and then on the other hand, myself and working with my colleagues that are at 7 and 8 figure, this one key does separate the two. And so I wanted to talk about that. I'm not going to be able to go super, super deep on it. We will in the live event. I've actually got all 14 things that unpack this one strategy that we're going to be going through in the live event. But this morning, I'm going to talk about 2 to 3. But here's what I want you to think about. The difference between being struggling, hustling, a solopreneur, not being able to see, not knowing the right next step, that feeling of overwhelm, that feeling of overthinking, right? That endless running. I was just having a meeting with Erwin McManus, and he's was talking about the endless running of negative scenarios, right? We're trying to figure out how to get to that minute next level. And we have this belief that it will stack and it will grow in some kind of linear way, versus the way 7-figure entrepreneurs think. And so I'm going to make sure that everyone is announced here before I dive into this, because this is super, super important. We're live. Go out via email. All right. Just want to make sure that gets going. Okay. So the one key strategy, I'm going to talk about what it is, and then I'm going to compare and contrast the two so you can start to see this and how this, the one word I'm going to say it is what you focus on. So I'm going to put the word focus as the strategy, but it's not just focus. It's not your ability to focus. It's what specifically are you focusing on? And I'd love to know in the chat, tell me in the chat if you're like, I get to this place where I know what to do, but it doesn't seem to work. I am overthinking everything. I feel a little bit of overwhelm, and I seem like I put off what I already know I need to do. So if you've had those feelings, I know I have had those feelings, and I'm going to jump over to the chat here. Put just a that's me or a heck yeah if you've been in that tug of war internally where you know the right things to do, you're learning the steps, yet in the same time you're not able to do the things you know you need to do. And so this is right in the middle of this idea of focus and what to focus on. And so I want to put it in two categories. So in this idea of what I focus on one side, I'm going to talk about what the struggling person, the struggling entrepreneur focuses on. And then I'm going to contradict that or counteract that with what 7 and 8 figure entrepreneurs focus on in this arena, this one business strategy of focus. Because tell me in the chat, if you knew you could focus on exactly the right things, tell me how fast would you get to that 7-figure mark? If you knew exactly what to do, how to do it, and nothing got in the way of doing those things, how fast, tell me in the chat, would you get to 7 figures? Now, I get really ramped up, by the way. So I'm drinking a lot of water because I really want to have this land for you. Because when I was struggling like this, and I don't know if you're like me, where I got a lot of my internal value from what I did. And that idea of that I was kind of trained in, like, the more I do, the more I make. And it wasn't true in the online entrepreneur world. Like, I was doing so much. Tell me you feel me. I feel you. If you're like, I was doing so much, way more than most people. But yet that equation wasn't working. Work hard should equal growth. Work hard should equal spend more hours, work more, do more, should equal getting there. Yet it wasn't. It wasn't getting me there. And what that made me start to doubt about my ability, about my calling, even from God. Am I really called to this? Maybe I don't have what it takes. Maybe this is just for those special people, right? It starts to create this internal dialogue of avoidance, of overwhelm. But yet there's that thing, and it was in me too, where I just couldn't say, I'm going to give it up. Do you feel that? Like that, just put like that calling, put calling. If you're like, that thing is in me that I just couldn't keep, I couldn't lay it down. Like I had to keep trying, but I also knew it couldn't keep working this way. Something needed to shift. I had to have a shift. And so I'm going to unpack that entire shift in our upcoming live event, Think Seven Figures. Literally, this is the key thing for you to go from struggling to successful, for you to go from overwhelmed to impact. And I'm not breaking down strategies like you think. I'm breaking down the things that are getting in the way. Like, how do you think like a seven-figure entrepreneur when you're going to sell? How do you think like a seven-figure entrepreneur when you're making decisions? And the topic we're talking about today, how do you think like a seven-figure entrepreneur when you're challenged with focus? So I popped up the link for the live event because today is a like a top of the or 30,000 foot view, but we're going to dive deep together. 3 training days, 3 hours of developing a seven-figure mindset, of becoming an unleashed entrepreneur, of unpacking how do you remove limiting beliefs, build belief in your brain so that you can excel. Because you just told me that I could get there so much faster if I knew what to focus on. And so that's what we're going to unpack in this new live event. I've never taught what I'm going to be teaching in this free live event. And I'm going to ask you a question in the chat. If you're an entrepreneur or you want to be, and you know that you have all the steps, like you're doing all the things, just like I was, but you know there's a missing piece, I want you to put missing piece in the chat, because you've probably beaten yourself up over it, because I know you're ambitious and you're driven and your desire to help people so much. And so when it's not going fast, you start really looking at it. Put missing piece if you're like, oh my gosh, that is the thing. That's what we're going to be breaking down in the live event. That missing piece. That missing piece, and how to not take 10 years to learn it, not have this long drawn out thing. I don't even like using the word mindset. That's why I say think like a seven-figure entrepreneur, because tell me what you think. If you had the steps and the patterns to think like a seven-figure entrepreneur does in sales, do you think, put sales in the chat if you think you could sell faster, better, and to more people if you could think like a seven-figure entrepreneur. Put leads if you're like, if I could just know how they think about getting leads, how they think about reaching out to people, how they think about these things, it would go so much faster. Right? So we chase strategies, and that's not what I want to talk about today. But the only strategy that is the linchpin strategy is to think like a seven-figure entrepreneur. And that can be learned. That's a skill. And we're going to break that skill down step by step in the live event. So I've been scrolling the link for the live event. It's Monday, coming up the 18th. We're together the 18th, 19th, and 20th. I'm going to be really unpacking for you how to think like a seven-figure entrepreneur and how to remove the things that are getting in your way specifically, and how to build a pathway that allows you to think like that seven-figure entrepreneur over and over and over and over again. Okay, I'm going to get back to it. So we talked about it being focused. So on the struggling side, or I call this earthly, we're going to be talking in the live event about earthly crowns versus heavenly crowns, that you are given capacity for heavenly or high level crowns to be able to help people in the world. And a lot of times if you're struggling, you're focused on the earthly or the low level outputs. And that is why it's not working, right? So let me give you some comparison. On the low level or the earthly crown level, it's I'm in survival. If I could just make X amount more, fill in the blank for you, right? If I could just make X amount more, then it would all work. On the high level, on the heavenly crown level, we are thinking expansion. We're thinking expansion. How do I expand a result? How do I expand the help that somebody can get? How do I expand this? And the reason why that works and why it creates so much momentum for those that you see, right? You see people, they seem to like always have the 6 and 7 figure launches no matter what, or they always are doing things, they're always on stages. It's this next piece of focus And I think it was, oh shoot, I have the book. Dan Sullivan and Ben Hardy wrote a book called 10x is better than 2x. And this concept is so paramount to this focus. The idea of just 10% more or 2x is on the struggling side, and it keeps you in survival, because when you think about just a little bit more or just 2x, there's thousands upon thousands of paths to get there. And here's the linchpin of this, is that you already know them. So there are thousands and thousands of known strategies to get you where you want to go. And so we focus on those things, and then we start overthinking and we start trying to control. And I'm going to unpack this live in our event. We start getting negative, and then we start to doubt ourselves, and we start to lead by feelings. We start thinking in only what we can see around us versus what we want. We start looking at ourselves more than serving others. We fight to stay in the known. If I can just control the scenario and do more of what I know, it has to break through. Who's hearing this and going, oh my gosh, I've been stuck in this pattern. You didn't know it was a pattern, but it's a deep pattern, and it's searching for more and more and more and more. Oh, exhausting, isn't it? Boy, I know what that treadmill feels like, and the frustrations that come from being on it. And what ends up happening is this avoidance ends up happening. Like, we can't control the things. And so we actively, as entrepreneurs, procrastinate or avoid that thing, and we go and do other things. And then we feel bad about ourselves. And then it cycles again. Then we use motivation again. And then we make another goal, and it's only 10% or 2x more. And then we start overthinking about it, because they're all known processes, thousands. Versus, are you ready for the other side? Because I want to give you a reflection or a mirror. And then in the live event, we're going to unpack these so you can understand, how do I apply this? How do I go from this to this? How do I go from this to this? And the good news is your brain has steps to do it. So when we're thinking in the heavenly crowns versus the earthly crowns, because do you not know that you were destined for more than just making more money? Do you not know that you were destined for more than just a little bit? Do you not know that God says himself, I have more than you can ever ask or imagine to give you? These are the heavenly crowns, the heavenly calling. Can I get an amen on this? Like, these are the high level, low vibe versus high vibe. This is earthly versus heavenly. And it really correlates with struggling entrepreneurs versus multiple 6, 7, and 8-figure entrepreneurs. So like I said in the beginning, it's not survival, it's expansion, right? It's not survival, it's expansion. And that low 2x, just a little bit more, just want to get out of debt feeling, goes to, I'm not going to just say I want 10K a month. I'm going to say I want 100K or a million. It's an expansion to 10, right? And what happens when we do this, and we'll unpack how. So I know your brain is going to serve you, well, I don't know how to do that, right? So I understand you don't know how to do that. And that is part of the focus of a 6 and 7 and 8-figure entrepreneur that I want to unpack for you. Because this idea, here's what happens. On the struggling side, there's so much more you have to do, because you have to chase 1,000 strategies. Like, imagine going to the races and having one jockey on 100 horses. Doesn't work super well. But when we move toward this expansion, toward this 10x or even more, then our brains don't know where to go. And it's a great thing, because you can start to find those steps, to find the few, the 1 or 2 paths that'll get you there. Do you see how much easier it is to focus on one path versus thousands? Tell me in the chat, which would you rather focus on? 1 to 2 paths that could take you to 10x, or thousands of paths, exhausting amount of work that could take you to 10% more or 2x? Tell me in the chat. Tell me in the chat, right? Because this is something because what we don't know, we doubt. What we haven't experienced, we our brains serve us this conversation of it won't work because I don't know. And just put the number 7 in the chat if you've had that internal conversation. Like, I can't do that because I don't know what to do. I'd love to. You're hearing me right now and you're like, yeah, Shannon, that'd be great to want 10x more, but I don't know what to do. If I knew what to do, then I would do that. But see, do you hear the word I keep repeating that we say to ourselves? If I know what to do, I'd be doing that. So we're still hitching to a broken ideology of the more I do, the more I make, or the more I do, the more success I'm going to have. What I'm trying to break in your paradigm in terms of how a 7-figure entrepreneur thinks is this expansion invites the unknown and starts to use our mind, use our relationships, use our environment to say, what could create? See, it's the question you ask. If I'm going to ask, what could I do to only get 10% more? That's all you're going to get. But if I ask my brain to say, what is possible to do to get to 100,000 or a million? Then your brain has to think outside of the box, which is your current state, which is created by your past thinking. It has to lean on things that it hasn't experienced itself. And this focus creates transcendent results versus the 10x results. And like I said, I've got a whole grid to break down and the steps. How do you go from here to here in the live event? I think the big thing that I wanted to talk about in this focus arena is that how much overthinking, and like my friend Urban McManus says, the endless running of negative scenarios happens because we can't control the outcome. Can I get a, oh, yes. Because I can't control the outcome. I can't pull the lever and get the 10K months in. I can't control it. And when we can't control it, we start to run these, all the negative scenarios. We move into control. We move into negativity, self-doubt. Our feelings run our business versus our commitments and our discipline. We stay in this current state looking for self-survival versus our future state that is only focused on others, right? So it's overthinking and trying to control things versus controlling your choices and doing what I know others have done. And that's a shift because I haven't done them yet. And will you feel resistance? Yes. And we'll talk on in the challenge, not the challenge, but the live training about how to get transcendent results that gives you wisdom to know what to do, which I believe is heavenly wisdom, right? Because we're not trying to control the outcomes. We're trying to control our choices. We're controlling choices. We're doing what we know to do, and then we're borrowing on what others know to do, right? We go from control to release. When we're in a release, we actually are more creative to solve the question, what path will lead me to 10x more or 100,000 or a million, right? We go from self-doubt to courage and courage to be in an unknown place and stay there and not default to what is known. So I know what I'm saying is you're feeling it because the only reason why I know it is because I felt all those things, that frustration of just, I could just control it and buy all the things. I just want you to feel the peace that's part of your heavenly crown, part of your high expansion, because it's actually easier. It's actually easier when you're only going for a couple paths and you're really looking for that wisdom outside of you and inside of you. You're controlling your choices. You're more positive. You're leaning into courage because it takes courage to do things that are unknown. We're not leaning on our feelings anymore. And that's something that has to, your brain has to train that, this gap, because there's a gap there. And if I'm training on my feelings, if I don't see a sale come in, I feel down. And if I see 10 sales come in, I feel amazing. That's how you know you're stuck in this trap, right? Versus being committed to my commitments and the discipline that I know will get me there. staying in the future state versus the current state, being comfortable in the unknown. All right. So it's kind of like, and then I want to move to our announcement of our winners, but it's kind of like if you ever saw Indiana Jones, I'm going to play this in the actual event. But if you saw Indiana Jones, the one with Sean Connery is in it, there's this point where he's followed the map and it's got to this place. Tell me if you've seen this. And it's like he gets to the place, he gets out, and he's expecting a path to be there to take him from one cliff to the other. And he gets there and there's no path. Everything in the guide said you should have a path here. You should have a way to get across, right? But his natural mind is looking just like the low crown place, the earthly crown place. He's looking for evidence in the reality that it's there, and he doesn't see it. And he's kind of like freaking out. All the emotions that we talked about, all those, what do I do? Doubt. And he has this moment where he realizes that in order for this to get transcendent results, in order to get to this holy grail, which is what he was going for, that he had to take that step based on the map of the people who had been there before. And that's scary. And there's tension there. Yet, after some internal struggle, he takes a big giant step. And as soon as he puts his foot down, the path appears. And so this big business strategy of focus, thinking like a 7-figure entrepreneur around this, and moving from those low vibration, earthly, just trying to make money and survive, to the unleashed entrepreneur with those heavenly crowns, making massive transcendent impact and 10x the results, because there's fewer things you're focusing on. It's actually easier, but it's uncomfortable to stay in that place, but it's easier. And it's a skill that you can learn. And that's what we're doing in the live event. So unleashedentrepreneur.com is how you get hooked up for that live event. Now is the time, however. I have an announcement to make about our winners of our Breakthrough of the Year contest. Now, we got tons of videos submitted, and all of you, my sweet, amazing clients, sent it out to your social media, put yourself out there. These stories, and I'm going to do my best to present those stories at the very end for those of you who would like to watch them. These stories blew my mind. I sat there and watched every one of your videos. I'm so proud of every one of you trusting the process, right? Kind of like what I was talking about with Indiana Jones. I know it's easier to go chase what you can see with more strategies and more tactics. But as you know, that isn't the linchpin. The linchpin is what makes it all work, is what you did in the coaching program in 67-day year. And of course, those of you who are going on to get your coaching certification, because the way your brain allows it to go faster and to remove what stands in the way is what is the accelerant. And that's what we're talking about, right? It's the leadership of you. It's taking the power back and learning a step-by-step brain-based process to think like a 7-figure entrepreneur, to remove limiting beliefs, to build a pathway in your brain toward what you wanted to actually bring or draw to you. So we got to watch all these videos, and I have the winners, and I'm ready to announce it. So just so you know, first place gets a mastermind in person with me and a group of powerful entrepreneurs in San Diego, where we'll be breaking down your business strategy, your mindset strategy, combining those two with a plan of execution that will expand your life like you've never seen before, and your business, of course. So that's our first place prize. Now, our first place winner also does receive what the second and third place winners do as well. So second and third will get an individual email sent out to my email list talking about you, your business, what you do, etc., where I can brag on you, just you alone in this email, which is going to be very, very exciting. So you're going to get about 40,000 people exposed to who you are, what you're doing in the world, and how you're changing lives. Huge, huge thing. And then my baby, the Epic Success podcast, where we teach you to think 7 figures. I'm going to bring you on as a guest and talk to you about your expertise in the marketplace, brag on you, let everybody know about you. So that is massive exposure for your business, because I know that you've got the breakthrough to be able to take the exposure and help you grow. So that's what everybody is going to win. Are you ready to know who the winners are? I'm going to stop this ticker tape. Make sure you get signed up there. Let me hide that. All right, I'm going to show it on the screen. Here we go. The winners of the Breakthrough Contest of the Year. First place goes to Iva B. Woo! Iva was really concerned because she was at the finish line and we extended it a few days. But Iva, congratulations. You are our first place winner. You get that in-person mastermind. You get the podcast feature, the emails, and I'm so excited for you. Congratulations. Everybody give Iva B some love in the chat. Give Iva B some love in the chat. And then our second place winner is Christine Knapp. Christine, congratulations. And our third place winner, Vicky W. The two of you both will have that individual email and that podcast focused interview. And I cannot wait to do that. In fact, we're going to get those scheduled ASAP. So congratulations, Iva. I'm so excited for you. Christine, I'm so excited for you. Vicky, I'm so excited for you. And honestly, all of you that submitted a video, your transformations, just because they didn't win, they were incredible. Here's what I want you to know. You trusted the process. You stopped focusing like a stuck, struggling entrepreneur. You got into the 67-day year and you accelerated your business in life. And I'm so, so proud of all of you that submitted and all of you that won. You know, I love you to the moon and back. I am for you. And that can be you if you show up to our live event. So like the one thing each of those people have in common is they knew that they couldn't keep doing the same things and expect a different result. They knew there was a linchpin. And in our world, we call that a success switch that needs to get flipped on in your mind. And that's what we're going to be talking about at unleashedentrepreneur.com. Starting on Monday, we're not doing replays, y'all. I'm 90% sure I'm not sending out replays because I want you there live. Listen, here's what I want to say. And I want you to tell me in the chat, is it worth 2.5 to 3 hours of your life to finally shift from stuck and struggling to unleashed, to think like that 7-figure entrepreneur? If you have that training for 3 hours, let's say I go long and it's Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, 12 p.m. Central, you put it in your calendar, you show up live. Because here's what I know about you. Those of you who trust the process that just won the contest, we're all there live. You're going to learn steps to creating the thinking that will get you where you want to go. Without it, I don't care how many strategies, tactics, courses, books you buy, they will only get you minimal 2x results, because the thinking that got you where you are right now is not the thinking that's going to take you to that next level. However, when you train your brain to think like a 7-figure entrepreneur, how much faster are you going to attract 6 figures and beyond? So that's what we're going to be doing together live starting next Monday, 18th, 19th, and 20th. I'm not doing replays. So sign up and show up. This is the linchpin for your scaling. This is the neuroscience of scaling. And you're going to walk out of those 3 days knowing exactly how a 7-figure entrepreneur thinks and exactly what to do to implement the steps to make it happen. All right. I love you guys. I know I'm back here live. I'm sure it will be announced. So if you're in my email, make sure you whitelist our emails, pull it out of the promotions and over into your inbox. We try not to over send anything, but we're always doing these live trainings and I want you to hear about them. And I cannot wait to be back with you live. Let me just tell you, I think it's tomorrow, but I'm not 100% sure. So I'm going to look. I'm looking. It is. We're back tomorrow live, same exact time. And I know we'll be breaking down yet one more of these key linchpin thinking processes that will up level you to that heavenly level of acceleration. All right, that's what I have for you. Again, congratulations to the winners. I adore you. I'm so excited for you. All the details for what you've won, how you're going to get on the podcast, how you're going to get the email to go out. And Iva, for you, all the details about the in-person mastermind will be coming to you within the next week. Congratulations to you all. And for those of you that are coming to the Unleashed Entrepreneur, I cannot wait to see you Monday, September 18th at 12 p.m. Central Time, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, where you're going to learn that missing piece to make the difference from struggling to scaling. All right, that's what I have for you today. Have a good one. Bye.